Welcome to the Real Estate Investors Marketing Show, where we help real estate investors gain more leads, stronger relationships, and more deals through the power of online marketing. I'm Lindsay Phillips, your content coach and expert on all things content marketing for entrepreneurs and real estate investors. And I love, of course, chatting with my buddy and co-host.
Here I am. I'm Aaron Hughes, a real estate investor and the world's only exclusive real estate investing copywriter.
Awesome. So we talked about relationships in our last episode. And so we're going to kind of pull that further and talk about fostering those relationships and nurturing your leads using emails. Because I mean, some people, honestly, they still think that sending out emails is just like promo. And do you get this a lot, that some people think, oh, no one reads emails anymore?
Yeah, all the time. People are asking me, email marketing's dead. What should I be doing instead? So, I've got a few opinions about that. So maybe we'll share one or two of those opinions on this episode.
Absolutely. Awesome. And some people, again, how I said, like some people only send out promo emails, or they send out one like quote unquote e-newsletter or e-zine once a month, and they think that's going to bring them in like a bazillion leads. Well, I can tell you right now, it's not going to happen. Sorry, people. What is your take on email marketing?
All right, I've got a lot to say, so
okay.
Just cut me off if I'm going too long.
Give her.
My take is this. First, you need to think about who your audience is, because not all audiences are going to be on email. And I would say if you are working with motivated sellers who own homes and are maybe in financial distress, don't send them an email. They're not going to read it. They're not going to open it. They're not going to see it. There are other audiences who are sellers who will open emails, and they might be more commercial sellers. They might be people who are going through a divorce. They might open some emails, but I guess I could list either one, but my point is that just consider who your audience is, because with sellers, not all sellers are going to open emails. And so I don't often advise sending emails to sellers or even collecting emails from sellers unless you're again working with like commercial investors. Commercial sellers. So then we're talking about, then the conversation narrows down to buyers. And when it comes to buyers, you can send lots of emails to buyers, and I think we'll talk about some different types and topics and some frequency. We can talk about that in a minute. But I think the first thing I want to say is that, maybe don't send to sellers, but yes, absolutely send to buyers.
That's a great point. And like you said, it's knowing your audience. I have one client, and she's not in the real estate investing sphere, but her peeps are like, ignore everything on social, which is really annoying. But the people that join her email list, her opens are like 50%. That's crazy in this industry. And like they open, they click, they love it. And I'm like, oh man, leverage the heck out of that, right? Like you need to know what your audience likes and does.
There's lots of things that we can get people to do to open emails. And so maybe we'll talk a little bit about those later in this episode. All
right, that sounds good. One thing I do want to point out is that people often put their list in one big pot, and they don't think about segmenting. So like you said, in this industry, right, you've got buyers, you've got sellers, maybe tenants, maybe team members, or team members, whatever. You've got people that have different motivations. And so it's really good to segment them so that you're speaking their language. You're not just sending out an email that they're like, I don't care about this. I'm not buying nothing. Or you want something that hits their funny bone, so to speak.
Yeah, that's really good. I love segmenting. And I know you and I were working with another client on some segmenting strategies that were not just about what they want, but how engaged they were. I don't want to give away any real secret sauce, but that was a really good, you know what I'm talking about, right?
I do.
And that was a really good strategy that worked well to not just improve open rates, but
Yes.
it improved a lot of things. So
It improves results. Like
yeah,
it improved the conversion rate.
yes,
And that's
yes.
huge.
So the
Yeah.
nice thing about segmenting is you can say similar things, but in a more meaningful way to different
Yeah.
audiences. So I'm
Sure.
just going to give a real quick example. So let's say you've got a property that let's say you're a wholesaler,
Yep.
and you've got a property that you want to wholesale out to. You've got a big list of cash buyers. So what do you want to do? You could maybe send out an email to cash buyers who are over 50 and just talk about how having a cash flowing property can help replace their pension or
Yeah.
help augment their pension. Whereas you can send out the exact same offer with a slightly different email to people who are under 50. Let's say they're over 30, and then those people might be more interested in building up passive cash flows so that they don't have to work as hard and spend more time with their family. So you can send the same offer
Mhm.
to your whole list, but just by sending two different emails,
I
you
know.
can potentially get some more interest on it.
I love that. And just by even like tweaking the subject line or the preview text or that first paragraph that like has that emotional hook that leads them into the rest of the email. I mean, it's languaging and messaging, like, and copywriting, obviously, can make such a world of difference. And I've seen that in action with your content and otherwise.
And you make a good point. You're not rewriting, say, even an email is not that long, but you're not
Mhm.
rewriting a whole email.
No.
You can easily write the offer in one email and just adjust the first
Yeah,
couple lines and send it to your different segmented list.
I know. And here's a wee tip that's somewhat related that I think is gold and that we've been testing a lot out on is sending the same email out the next day to people that have not opened it, because you can actually do that within your email server. Tweak the subject line and you'll get more opens. So that way you are increasing your exposure, which is amazing.
Yeah, that's really good.
Now let's talk about the different types of emails, because again, everyone thinks either it's like big long text or an e-zine. So I'm going to talk about one of my favorites and that I'm getting into now with one of my clients, and that's storytelling. So we're starting emails that are like, oh, I remember back when I struggled with this and I felt like this, and I really like it's telling a story of what that person's experience was, and then I turned a corner and this happened. And then at the end, obviously, hey, if you get this, then you'll rock too. But like that whole storytelling, for some, not for everybody, can really build that relationship, that element of trust, you understand me, and boost conversions too. I love those. Do you have any favorites?
Yeah, I was actually just writing down a couple of notes here, but I tend to think of emails in three different ways,
Oh,
and just depending on what your outcomes are. And
yeah.
so use the acronym TOE. That's what I was writing down. It was like, oh, it does spell out the word TOE, which is just kind of silly, but it makes it easier to remember. And
It's
so
all
one
good.
is topical.
Yeah.
One's topical. One is offers, and one is
Yes.
engagement. And I
Yep.
wouldn't say that I like one more than the other. It just depends on
True.
what your your desired outcome is. And so topical ones are just ones where you might want to inform or
Yeah.
position yourself, build authority, that kind of thing. So, that could be the stories that you're talking about. I did a
Mhm.
lot of topical stuff for an investor who wanted to talk to people about the economy when the economy was not doing so well.
Mhm.
Then we wrote a whole bunch of topical stuff about how the economy is bad and maybe real estate investing is an answer. So that's one piece. Then offers was the second type of email, and that's really simple, where you
Yeah.
are sending out like, hey, cash buyers, I have this property here. It's cash flowing, blah blah blah. It has a tenant in it. Uh, here's how to take action. And so that outcome, of course, is for people to take action. It doesn't necessarily have to be a property. It could
Mhm.
be your ebook and your e-course, or it could
Sign
be
up for a webinar.
yeah, exactly.
So
Sign up for
many,
a webinar,
right?
any of
Yeah.
those things. Something where you want people to take action.
Yeah.
And then the third kind is engagement, and that is where you want people to to obviously engage with you, maybe to reply back. And
Yes.
this is the outcome here is often either data collection, you want to get more information so you can
Mhm.
segment your audience, or it's just to sort of get people listening to you and opening your emails and training them so that they are watching for your emails and replying to you. So I like
Yeah.
to think there's probably other types, but those are kind of the big three that I
No,
tend to
I
write
like how
about.
you categorize them for sure. And like engagement, it's like, yeah, when there's a lead magnet, like they buy a check or they sign up for a checklist or whatever, you want them to engage in that thing. You don't want them to download it and forget it. You want to remind them that they have it and engage in your content, and nurture. You want to serve, right? You want to help people. You don't want to just sell.
Yeah,
It's
that's right.
huge.
That's right.
Now, one last question before we go, because I know people always ask me this. How many emails should I send? When? How often? Want to know my answer is?
I do want to know what your answer is
It
because
depends.
I can't possibly guess.
It depends. Ah, wow, wow. Yeah, I mean, some people will email every day, twice a day, but every list is different, right? Like some people, like if you get like a bazillion opt outs, then okay, you need to back off. But you need to be consistent, you need to be in touch, and you need to nurture. So if that's 3 times a week, 5 times a week, you'll know whether your list pushes back, and you'll also look at the stats on whether you're converting or not.
A lot of people are sending 1 to 2 emails a day right now,
I
and that might,
know.
to someone who doesn't do a lot of email, that might seem
Yes.
like a lot.
They're like, holy
But
crap.
to people like us who are doing this for several clients every single
Yeah.
day, we realize that it's not that big of a deal. And I think it was Gary, is it Gary Vaynerchuk who's sending out, he says, he points out that even the same with social media is the same with email, that your people's filling inboxes pushes down all the emails. And so you need to kind
Yeah.
of always be at the top of their inbox,
Yep.
top of their social feed. And that does mean sending a couple extra emails than you might think is necessary, obviously within laws and
Yes.
ethical guidelines. That goes without saying, hopefully. But yeah, you could probably send more than you
Yeah.
may think
I know.
if you're 1 a week kind of person.
I totally agree. And honestly, to me, the bottom line is that you need to send info that your avatar, your people need and what they want, not what's in it for you.
Can I add one more thing?
Of course.
I'm going to add one more thing. I'm going to stop
Okay.
asking, and I'm just going to say.
Yeah. It's your
You mentioned
podcast
earlier.
too.
That's right, it is. You mentioned earlier stories, which is great. One thing that has always stuck with me, and I wish I could attribute it to the right person. I believe it was a copywriter named John Carlton, but I could be wrong. He says you should be the most interesting thing in the person's inbox. Kind of paraphrasing,
Oh, I
but
like that.
but I think it really stuck with me. And you need to do it within your own personality and be authentic to you and
Yeah,
authentic to what your audience wants, but you
that's
should be the
true.
most interesting thing. And I know that there is, um, I'm trying to think who it is that sent it out. There is a marketer who sent out an email, and just as a joke one day, he decided to send it from his dog instead of from him.
I
And
remember you telling me that.
a super famous email, and people loved it. And afterwards, he would send all his emails from his dog.
That's
And
hilarious.
if he didn't, if he sent it from him, his people would be like, I want the emails to come from your dog, and
So
he
weird,
would
right?
meet people. Yeah, he'd meet people. They're like, oh, you're the guy whose dog sends his emails. It's silly, it's quirky, it's not going to work for every investor.
No.
And if 1,000 people listen to this and 1,000 people go do it, it's gonna be less effective. But it's just a good example of how you should do something that's authentic for you. Maybe that's your kid or your fish, just to pick two silly examples.
Yeah.
But just be the most interesting thing in your audience's inbox, and however you want to send emails and how often, they'll look forward to it.
I love that. What a great ending note. That is a great quote. So that already, folks, is a wrap for the Real Estate Investors Marketing Show. And we so appreciate you listening. Again, this is like our third, fourth episode. We're super excited to be launching this to help you in your investing business, whether it's flipping, notes investing, rentals. We get what you do. We want to help you with your marketing strategies. But before you go, make sure you join the Real Estate Investors Marketing Group in Facebook. We're going to share strategies, tools, tips, tricks, live videos to help you grow your authority, build your relationships, and market your REI business. So head to reimarketinggroup.com. That's a wrap, Aaron. Booyah!
It is amazing.
Laters.
See you later.
Bye.